Welcome back to A Closer Look. Have you ever wondered what would happen if there were no bees buzzing around? Here to tell us about the different types of bees and why they're so important to our environment is Vicki Roberts with Virginia Cooperative Extension Chesapeake and Master Gardener. Welcome to the show, Vicki.
Thank you for having me.
How many types of bees are there?
Well, there's about 4,500 different types of bees here in the United States.
Wow.
Here in Virginia, we have about 2,500. Most of those are native bees. So those are the bees that live a solitary life. They don't congregate in a social setting like you do with honeybees. And honeybees were actually brought over by the colonists from England. So they are not a native bee. They've naturalized here, but they are not a native bee.
Now, why are bees so important to our environment?
Oh, bees are important to us because of every bite of food we eat, one of every three needs to be pollinated. So we need pollinators, of which honeybees, just because of the fact that they are in larger groups, they're social, they are able to get out there and pollinate many more crops than our native, even though the native bees are much more efficient.
Now, are bees becoming extinct? It seems like in the past couple years I've heard that.
Yeah.
Is it true?
They're having trouble. They're not extinct, but we are noticing that we are having decreasing numbers of not only bees, but birds, a lot of our insects. So they're having trouble due to the fact that agriculture has changed, our environment, climate change is affecting them. We're having greater transport of foods and crops in, which can harbor diseases that we don't have natural enemies for.
Absolutely. So where do bees live and what do they eat? You mentioned they fly around and pollinate.
Yeah, they fly around and pollinate. Well, honeybees, we try to keep them in what is called a hive. So this here is a hive, basically boxes. Native bees live in several places. You have cavity dwellers, of which honeybees are. They want to be secluded, so they can be trees, they can be underneath of roots, or they live in the ground is typically where bees are going to live. What they're looking for is to be able to get food, just like us. They want to have food. And what's their food is nectars. Nectars and pollens are the food of bees. So that's what they're looking for. So they're looking for plants that are going to be nice and sweet, and they're going to have pollens on their anthers.
Can you show me a hive? I think we were looking earlier.
Yeah, we've got inside our hive here, and this here is when they're inside, these are frames. And this is what the bees draw out. This is wax. And this is where everything is for honeybees. They raise their babies in here. They keep their food in here. They take care of So the whole thing to this is having the ability to have wax and places to put their items that they're going to use.
And the wax is actually from the bee.
Yeah, it's actually from the bee. They have special wax glands that are on the underside of their body, and when they're very young, they excrete this wax. Because you can see here on the spaces, there's some that isn't drawn out, but they will they chew it with their mouth, they excrete it, chew it, and then into these perfect hexagons. So that's where
it's quite impressive.
It is impressive. It's very impressive.
Now, how is the queen chosen? And what is the queen's job?
What is the queen's job? Well, the queen is actually, there's only one queen in a hive, and a hive may have 50,000 bees in it. You only want one queen. So what they're doing is, if there's a problem with the queen, they can make another queen, but they have one queen. Her job is to lay eggs. That's her only job.
Okay.
She can lay between 1,500 to 2,000 eggs a day. So that's her job. Everybody else in the hive, all the worker bees, which are females, they are the ones who take care of her.
So the worker bees are females as well?
The worker bees are females, all females, and the majority of that hive is going to be worker bees. So they're taking care of her. And if by chance, if they notice that she's not doing her job of laying that many eggs, they may decide that it's time for us to make another queen. And they can easily do that. And it's all about the diet.
So they sort of like appoint another queen, or they?
What happens is that the queen is made from a worker larva, which they just feed a different diet. So have you ever heard, you are what you
Really?
eat? Well, a queen bee is only fed royal jelly, which is like a superfood, where a worker
Wow.
bee is fed royal jelly for 3 days, and then on the 4th day they feed them something called bee bread, which is a mixture of honey and pollens. So,
Wow. Now tell me real quick about the drone.
oh, the drone.
What their job
he
is.
has an important job because he is the one that is going to allow to be able to mate with a queen. But a drone in the hive does nothing. Actually, the worker bees feed them. They take care of them. They do nothing. They don't clean in the hive. But their only job is that in the spring, when it is time for this queen that they've made to mate, they will fly out to a drone site and they will mate with several queens. So they're the genetic material that's going to allow for more hives to be,
Now you mentioned the spring. That's the time when people may see swarms of bees.
Exactly. I'm
If
so
say I'm
glad
walking
you-
out into my backyard and I happen
Yes.
to notice a big swarm
Yes.
of bees before I go running screaming down the street,
Yes, yes.
what should I do?
Well, the best thing to do is to watch. Don't be bringing out any kinds of sprays. Don't harm them because they're not after you. And really what they've done is that either it was too tight in their hive or there was something that it's nature's way of propagation. So, but the best thing to do is to allow another beekeeper to come and get them. They don't have any reason to
Right.
sting you because they have nothing to protect. They don't have any of their brood, which is their eggs. So you can go on to the city of Chesapeake, type into the search beekeeping or swarms, and they will come up with information, lots of information that's great, and contacts. There are 2 bee clubs in the area. They will come out and get them. So just kind of watch it, give them a call, and they will come out and get that wonderful swarm.
Now, I will say, like the city, if you go to cityofchesapeake.net and put in bees, there's a whole
Yes.
page dedicated
A
to
whole page.
information. Like, say, if you were interested in starting your own hive, that would tell you what you need to do,
Yep.
and ordinances involved and things like that, as well as if you do have a swarm, somebody can come out and get it. There's so many more questions I want to ask, but we are out of time. And I know that you actually take this and you go to the schools and you educate
Yes,
children,
ma'am.
and
Would
you
love
have
to
some
do that.
books and it is fascinating. I have
you.
to say, when I was doing a little bit of research, I was amazed. There's so much more to learn about bees. Thank you so much for
Thank
coming
you for
on
having
and
me.
talking with us. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Well, that does it for this edition of A Closer Look. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time.